Welcome, age of vintage society. Some think talent is nature, others say it's nurture, but Richard Pryor is no doubt an excellent mix of the two. Was he just a comic genius, or something that only he could explain? The truth about his weird childhood, plus a compounded discriminatory feeling, may have awakened what writers labelled as the demon in him. But beyond his inventive use of flawed language on stage, this iconic stand-up comedian made it big, influenced society in his own way, and his legendary wit will continue to resonate for generations to come amidst the horrible lifestyle that may have led to his tragic end. Did Richard Pryor have a love affair with Marlon Brando? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Richard Pryor, a legendary comedian with a funny history. Some say he made fun of history, others think he made history fun, but many will agree that Richard Pryor made a fun part of his history. Widely regarded as a controversial comic character who changed stage rules with explicit use of disrespectful words, he remains unique among a few revolutionary comedians whose inspirations helped change the course of humanity. Pryor broke the record his way when he boldly reversed the mood of his audience, who had gathered so he would make them happy. He did not just leave the thousands of influential audiences in a sombre mood, he was able to put across his message in a manner no one else had done, in a historic performance which would earn him a lot of dubious names. A famous comedian thinks he was a Picasso of the comic profession, while another prodigy described him as comedy's Rosa Parks. But those words are as useless as Pryor's bizarre childhood. If only those who criticised him had a feel of what it took this brave clown to navigate through despicable infancy to stardom, they would have known why the acclaimed demons may have been part of his creativity. Although he was not the first dark-skinned stand-up clown, Pryor was a true game-changer on stage. His creativity and style of rendition would place him among the most influential comedians of his era, especially among his ancestry. Critics will always remember Pryor as one who stood for what he thought was right and used the only platform available to advance his belief, thereby risking his career. Although the result was contrary, as it did not just fame his career, but placed him in history as one who filled a gap by crusading against discrimination with comedy on stage. A historic "Kiss My Happy Rich Black Ass" comment credited to Pryor at the homosexual right charity performance comes in handy. It was when he appeared alongside other dark-skinned artists, comprising a powerful audience from all walks of life. The occasion would not be forgotten in a hurry, with several reports revealing how he was booed by the enraged audience, who felt disappointed. If only wishes were horses, but they're not, so his performance at the Bowl concert did not stop him from being listed first among Comedy Central's list of all-time best stand-up comedians, or ranked foremost among Rolling Stone's list of the 50 greatest stand-up comics of all time. Pryor penetrated large audiences with his incisive remarks and storytelling approach. He earned a Primetime Emmy and 5 Grammy Awards, plus the opening Kennedy Center Mark Twain Prize for Humor in 1998. Some think that his approach to comedy encouraged and united society by making it easier for people of different descent to talk and laugh with each other in a groundbreaking style. Richard Pryor's lifestyle offstage was another drama shrouded in uncertainties. His ever-hilarious and heartbreaking twists of love life are stories that better define his personality. As a writer puts it, it's one that simply can't be made up, despite how strange they may appear to the ear. His long list of love life and marriages, plus controversial sexuality issues, are an interesting side of Pryor. Also the historic affair with famous Marlon Brando, as revealed by Quincy Jones and confirmed by his widow wife, Jennifer Lee, all add together to put a question mark on a man whose life may have started terribly and ended tragically. Officially recognized as Richard Franklin Lennox Thomas Pryor Sr., Pryor is an American stand-up comedian and actor born on the 1st of December 1940, somewhere in Peoria, Illinois. Leroy Pryor, his father, an ex-boxer, hustler and pimp with Gertrude L., his ever-drinking mother, who was a call girl in a brothel operated by his grandmother, had brought him into an unfortunate life of early misery. He was raised in the brothel, and when he turned 10, Pryor was deserted by his mother, as he found himself in full custody of brutish grandmother Marie Carter, who was said to have punished him for every of his eccentricity as he joined other 3 children in her care. Pryor was reported to have been abused at the age of 7 and was thrown out of school when he was 14. He was part of the US Army in Germany between 1958 and 1960, but was reported to have spent most of his entire assignment in an army prison because of an incident at the post where he was stationed in West Germany. He began commercial performance in 1963 when he travelled to New York City and started performing in clubs. He was alleged to be very nervous on stage at his initial stage appearances. His stage fright was extraordinary, as he would often shiver prior to his bout until he was reassured, according to Nina Simone, who required singers and pianists at New York's Village Gate. Drawing inspiration from what Bill Cosby was doing at the time, Pryor began a comic journey as a conventional character and focused on less controversial topics. The journey took him to television, where he started appearing frequently on variety shows like The Ed Sullivan Show and The Merv Griffin Show, just to mention. His successful outings made him a popular stand-up in Las Vegas. Pryor's early production was part of the first 5 sounds recorded in 1966 and 67 on the 2005 compilation CD Evolution/Revolution. After his epic 1967 Pryor Convictions that saw him come on stage, looked at the sold-out audience and yelled over the mic, "What the hell am I doing here?" before leaving the podium, some sort of inspiration or so turned him into a vulgarity comic character. His derogatory words were unimaginable as captured in his first comedy soundtrack, the eponymous 1968 first release on the Reprise label. It was indeed a period of transformation, as he also lost his parents within the following 2 years. Pryor later relocated to Berkeley, California, where he dipped himself in the counterculture and walked with Huey P. Newton and Ishmael Reed. He became so popular and did his best in mainstream TV shows and many comedy films. Though his album was a hit that won the Grammy Award for Best Comedy Recording at the 1976 Awards, he returned from a visit to Africa in 1979 with a promise never to use the N-word in his comics. He is the first dark-skinned actor to receive $1 million from one film when he was billed to star in Stir Crazy in 1980, in which he went on a freebasing rampage during production, as he was said to have drenched himself in rum and ignited a fire, and would later tell the story in his comedy show, Richard Pryor Live on the Sunset Strip, and exonerated himself. Was he also regularly on drugs? According to co-star Gene Wilder, Pryor developed a habit of being difficult and disrespectful on set. He would come to filming late and often would want special attention that could earn him extra cash, as seen in Stir Crazy production, where he was said to have pressed for helicopter transportation to set and back home because he was the centre of attention. His private life concerning marriages and relationships was not without controversy. He was married 7 times to 5 different women with 7 children, but it did not stop him from unconventional sex escapes, prominent among being his reported love affair with Marlon Brando. After meeting Pam Grier through Freddie Prinze and being cast in Greased Lightning in 1977, he started a romantic relationship. Grier was credited for helping Pryor learn to read and moderate his drug addiction. Amusingly, Pryor got married to a different woman while still dating Grier. He also dated actress Margot Kidder during the production of Some Kind of Hero in 1982, as Kidder was charmed by funny Pryor, as she later revealed. Making his long list of marriages was Patricia Price, whom he lived with between 1960 and 61, Shelley Bonus, also Deborah Maguire, a future model, though they reportedly dated intermittently for about 4 years before coming together in matrimony. Pryor married Jennifer Lee, whom he once contracted to decorate his home. The union was also short-lived like others, allegedly due to his drug dependence. He also married actress Flynn Belaine with a dramatic divorce filing and withdrawal. He filed for a divorce, withdrew it the same day, and refiled again a week later. They still remarried before a second divorce. After testing the waters, as some would say, he went for ex-wife Jennifer Lee and was remarried to her until his demise. Apart from being known for substance abuse, another area of controversy about this nature-nurture-made comic legend is his bisexuality, which he did acknowledge. Apart from the rumoured fling with actor Brando, Pryor also hinted at his frolicking with a transgender lady identified as Mitrasha in his comic concert. He was described as one who has never hidden his orientation. Jennifer Lee once spoke about Pryor as one who was not ashamed of his relationship with men because he has no regret about it. He wasn't ashamed of it, adding that he would have been talking about it as usual if he was still alive. He'd probably fill you in on the details, she said, responding to the interviewer's question. On how she met Pryor, Jennifer said she ran into Pryor at the time she was aspiring for a career breakthrough as an actress. He had told her that he needed a home decor, which is something she can do very well. She instantly took the job for fast cash, but found herself not just at his San Fernando Valley home, but infatuated by him. I fell in love with him the first day I met him. I was aware of him, but I was not a fan, which was great, Jennifer stated. But the marriage suffered a setback a year after. After divorcing, according to her, they remained friends and kept seeing each other intermittently because they never stopped loving each other. Richard Pryor, she said, always recycled women anyway, but after he was infected with complex sclerosis, Pryor had asked her to come back and remarry him. When Quincy Jones talked about Pryor's affair with Brando, he described how wild Brando was and how he and Pryor's relationship flourished. Jones noted, "Brando used to go cha-cha dancing with us," adding that he'd do it with anything. He'd do it with a mailbox, James Baldwin, Richard Pryor, Marvin Gaye. But Rain, Pryor's daughter, had denied whatever may have been written about Pryor having an affair with other men, as she attributed it to something done under the influence of drugs that was an important aspect of her father's lifestyle. In a swift reaction, Rain Pryor had berated Quincy Jones, describing him as an old fool seeking fresh relevance. She stated that Jones was losing his mind and decided to go on a publicity for himself with such a dramatized talk. She was not just surprised, but wondered why the accusation at the time. Daddy did not have relations with Brando. There were no trips to his South Pacific oasis, no flowers or love notes between them, even a film role, she said, and questioned the sudden need to drag Daddy through the Hollywood mud. "I find it tasteless and infuriating," she had declared. While Jennifer agreed with Jones's narrative about her late husband, Rain wasn't the only contrary voice to the claim, because Marlon Brando's family had also expressed disappointment over it. But Pryor's comic career exploit will not be complete without a special mention of the 1977 September 18th homosexual rights fundraiser event that Pryor created an astonishing outburst and left a 17,000 diverse background audience at the Hollywood Bowl wishing they hadn't come to the venue. What was the issue? It was said that when Richard Pryor mounted the stage as the centre of attention of the star-studded Night for Rights, organised by an initial homosexual rights group, he spoke to the audience in his usual profane words, but ended with a highly provocative comment. Pryor ended his speech by saying, "Kiss my happy rich black ass." There was total disquiet as the initial vibes that pervaded the atmosphere vanished. What started like a night of unity turned into a hot, roasting mess, as many voices could not help but boo him, with others lashing back with abusive words. Some, however, applauded him because he had talked bravely about the pleasure of homosexual intercourse and exposed the errors of the same-sex rights advocates, whom he said were hypocritical about their demand. After several years of heavy smoking, drinking, Pryor would pay the ultimate price of a heart attack, although his first experience on that occurred when he was 36. He recovered and continued his lifestyle. He had another after he was identified with multiple sclerosis sometime in 1990 while in Australia, and was reported to have endured a triple heart bypass operation in 1991. At some point in 2004 it was rumoured that Pryor couldn't talk again because of his complex sclerosis. Pryor's wife, Jennifer Lee, would later, in 2005, deny the assertion in a message on Pryor's official website, quoting Richard as saying, "I'm sick of hearing about me not talking. I have good days, bad days." A few days after his 65th birthday, Pryor had a final heart attack in Los Angeles, precisely on the 10th of December 2005, and was rushed to a local clinic when all attempts by his wife Jennifer to give artificial respiration to him failed. He was declared dead thereafter, and the new widow Jennifer was quoted to have said, "At the end there was a smile on his face." Pathological analysis suggests that Pryor's deadly heart attack was a result of coronary artery disease partially caused by many years of tobacco flaming. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. I think you'd be surprised in many cases how Hollywood stars have had love affairs. How Brandon DeWild tried to seduce Paul Newman. Watch this video.